Hey, it's Scott Norris here from virtualizeme.net.au, and today we're going to talk about vRO, vRealize Orchestrator, and vRO, vRealize Automation and Application Services, and its integration with Secret Server. So we integrate with Secret Server through vRealize Orchestrator, and Secret Server is an enterprise level password safe. Does a whole lot more than that, but essentially we use it mainly for the generation and the storing of passwords, as well as being able to give people and teams within a company granular access to particular passwords with an audit trail. So today we're going to be looking at the Secret Server. So this is the UI for Secret Server. We're not going to spend much time in here because we're going to be calling everything through the API. So the API is done through a SOAP API. So if we go over here, we can see that I've got my Secret Server SOAP API here. There's two ways to hit the API, with a Windows authentication or within local authentication. Now I recommend Windows authentication because you don't require a token. Tokens need to be generated every 24 hours, I think, by memory. And this, when you're doing automation, it's something you don't really want to worry about. Windows authentication will just work anytime, all the time. So as we can see here, we'll just look at quickly adding SOAP host. So here is a user's WSDL content, and it's a particular URL that we're using. And we'll just go through this basic authentication, which is your Windows authentication, and I'm going to use my account here. We'll make sure that it's not going to, yeah, v2, we'll submit that. And there it is, we've got a new Secret Server host. So if we go back to our plugins, refresh that. There we've got our second one there. So it's pretty simple to add, and then we've just got to call it. So I'll leave that one there. Let's go and have a look at the workflows that we'll be using. So the workflows have been created over time, working with particular customers, and they're going to be supplied to you today for downloaded from my website. So feel free, download, have a go. So as you can see here, it's been broken down into smaller chunks, so you can create master workflows. So things like create folder, get password, whatnot. So this is the wrapper flow we've created, and essentially what it's doing here is getting the template that we want to create the password from. This is generating the actual secret. This is we configure the secret within here. So these particular properties are names within the secret, and I'll show you that in the Secret Server. And then we add the secret to Secret Server, and then we select the output. So let's have a quick look at those property files. So within Secret Server, we've got templates, and it's got a lot of predefined templates, but I've created one here, VCAC service account. So as we can see in here, we've got a bunch of field names. Now you can create as many of these as you want, and we can add them in. You can add them in as part of the workflow. If they're mandatory, they must be filled in. If they're not, then it doesn't matter. They just won't be filled in. So as you can see, the passwords field's the only one that's required in this instance. So let's go back here, and we'll go through the inputs here. So input, the server product is basically saying, what's the password for? What's the account for? Is it for, SOA database, something like that? And ID var. So essentially, the way Secret Server puts it in is a server name. Oh, sorry, the actual password at something. And that something is what I've just called here as an ID variable. So this allows, I generally use some sort of ID. So when we're doing automation and deployment, it will be the deployment ID for that. So then all the passwords generated as part of that deployment all come under the same deployment ID. Um, the username is obviously the actual username that I'm going to have the password for. Folder path. So the folder path is where you want to store it within Secret Server. The password template name. So here we've got two passwords. One's a password to generate the password. So that you can use templates. Either you can use the same template to generate the password and to store it, or you can have different templates for password generation um, and separate templates to store the password. So here I'm just going to use the same one, but I've given it so we can have both. The password template name generates password, as I said. The secret template name stores the password, so that will store it based on that template. The root folder ID. So this is where you want your folder paths to start from. You generally, it depends which, I found out it depends which version, but it's just a matter of trial and error to figure out where it is. Personal folders, I think is usually 2, but in this case for me it's 4 on the latest version. And I know on an earlier version it was 1. It just depends how your secret server within your environment's been set up. And then we've got our server name. So this is the actual server name that this password belongs to. And we've got domain name. So what domain it belongs to. It doesn't matter if it's an AD or if it's a local account, it can still be put in. So if we look at that, I'll look at one we've done earlier. So here we can see I've got product SQL. We've got ID var, so this is just a testing 02. So this can be anything, and I like to use a particular ID. So it might be a deployment ID. So it might be dep dot SQL dot test. Then we've got our username, which is our SA root password. Now we've got our folder path. So here my folder path is just root virtualize me because that's what I've got set up in my lab. And my template, I'm doing both. So the name of the template to generate the password from is that one I showed you previously. And if we just quickly go over to that, we can look at the password requirement, so VME, so we can have a look at what the actual password, or we don't want to change that. Have we got the oh, hang on. So these are the different character sets that you're out of the box that your password can be generated from. But we can look at the wherever it is, if I can find it. Here we go, VME. So this is my one. So as you can see, I want a minimum of 1 from that group, a minimum of 1 from that group, minimum of 1, and you can create this to make it, has to be within 8, and it can be however you want it to be. It can include characters you want or not. And as you see, it's given us a bit of example up the top there. So that's what's going to generate my password. So we'll go back here. Root folder is 4. As I mentioned, that's where I want that's where root starts. And my server name, I'll just server 123. And my domain name is virtualizeme. In my lab is .com.au, but my site is .net.au. And we'll submit that. Hopefully it works. I love doing it. So as we can see, it's going through all the stuff. It's good. Done. All right. So obviously there's a lot of logging here. So we can see everything that it pulls back. And we can see that, I know while logging it's probably not the best, it's more for a demo to make sure it's working. We can see there's the password there. So we've got a secret extracted, and as you can see, I've got pass out is that. So currently in this one, for a customer, for a real thing, I would have the pass out as a secure string. But for this demo purposes and so that we know it's working, I've got it as just plain text. And then we've got the secret ID. Now, secret ID is important because we want to be able to grab that ID as part of automation. So we've got here 1022. So we can use get secret server password. So we can put that in there. So 1022. And we go submit. Hopefully this one works. Yay. Okay, so we can see here that I've actually got the secure string. So that's given me back. I think I should be logging it just so I know that it was working. And there it is. So you have to know where to look to actually see it, but it's there. So we're able to grab the secret. So that's easy, and it works. And it works really good. And we'll go to the UI, and we should actually be able to see that new SA. And there it is. So there we can check out the password. There it is. When you say the note's been invoked by me, and that's the other thing is you can log it in with in this case VCO. Probably should change that to vRO. And we'll look at vRA app services and how we can log that in. So if we go to application services. So this is for your PaaS deployments, your complex multi-tiered applications. And I have a look at our old friend NanoTrader here, which probably doesn't work because I've been playing with it. But within here, we have the secret server. So this service will bring back the secret ID and the password out. And it will also, I've got my template name, which is the one I want to use. Server product, here is SQL file, and the username's NanoTrader. The actual ID var is I'm grabbing from the PaaS ID, which is something that derives a lot of the properties required for this deployment. And I've got a really big two-part blog post on that, on the PaaS ID and how it works well. And then we got obviously the root folder ID and the password template name. So as we can see here, all the exact same inputs are required on this side, and they get passed through. Now, how that gets passed through is just through a script that calls the vRO API. So if we look at the services and we'll look at secret server. And you can see this. So this is just calling a Git script. We can have a look at the Git script is just, we've covered that previously. Well, we'll just have a quick look. So we can have a look at this one, and it's just a this one's a Linux-based one, a Bash script, which just calls the vRO workflow, creates an XML based on the properties in my workflow and the properties that the vRO flow wants, and will be available to download from my site as well if you're interested. We'll look at if we go back to the application itself. And we'll see that SQL file will actually take in for the password. Is it this one? Oh no, it's over here. there it is. I did have it right. Just couldn't see it. So as you see, the password is taken from that secret server service and the pass out. So this way, we don't have to enter a password. The password will be different for every single deployment, and this is just a very simple version. But if we look at something like, if I've got it here, here like a SOA, something like a SOA deployment, and we can see here we've got the WebLogic password there. We've also got the sysdba password for the Exadata, and I believe that's the only two this one really needs. But you know, some Siebels require up to 4 or 5 of them, so it's really handy having different ones at all with every deployment, but being able to have them tracked. And obviously, the reverse is the same. So when we tear down, when we tear down, we call the delete password. So here we've got the deactivate password by secret ID. Um, very simple one. We'll run this, and we want to delete that one that we got before, which is 1022. Hopefully this works. I haven't really tested it. Yeah, look at that. So now it should be gone. If we go back into our secret server, we give it an old refresh, and that one of ours is gone. So yeah, that's it for today. Look at my blog post for more details on this, and I'll be supplying those workflows in a package for everyone to download and to have a play with. Anyway, thank you very much. Cheers.